Welcome to the Modestly Magnificent podcast, the website for dreamers who take action. On this podcast, we interview people transitioning into new careers in the tech field. We learn about how they prepare their life for the transition, what courses they may take, how they stay motivated when faced with adversity, and the job searching process. Join me, your host, Tamar Buchanan, as we follow along on their journey. Welcome back to another episode of the Modestly Magnificent podcast. Today we are joined by Jesus.delintt, and I'm very excited to talk to Jesus. He is a fellow cohort member in the Data Science for All Empowerment program. So we both have been experiencing the same struggle life for the last several months, and we have about 4 weeks left. So I'm excited for Jesus to share his story. So why don't we jump in? And hey, Jesus.
Hey, Tamara. Glad to be here. Thanks for inviting me. Should be a fun conversation and enlightening for a lot of people.
Yes. So why don't you start off by introducing yourself?
So my name is Jesus.delintt. I am originally from Phoenix, and currently I live in Los Angeles, in Pasadena to be specific. And I came to DS4A by way of the Tech Idea Slack channel, which is a Slack channel designed to provide resources to Latinos and that are looking to be in tech or work in tech or be tech adjacent. And I saw someone make a post about it, and I thought, that seems interesting. That kind of sounds like something that I might like to do. And I applied, and I didn't realize how prestigious the program was until our first meeting. And then I thought, okay, I've really gotten myself into something pretty crazy.
Yes. Wow. So you found out about the program through Slack. Another cohort member found out through TikTok, and I found out through Instagram. So definitely the word has been spreading.
Yeah, which is nice because that way it's organic, it seems like.
Yeah.
A lot of the people that I've met, especially within my project group, they kind of come from such like a variety of backgrounds. So it's not all the people that have taken statistics class, that's taken data science before. I mean, we have people in their 60s with 20 years of experience to people that just graduated college in my project group. So it's nice. I think having that like word of mouth really freshens up our team, which was cool.
Yeah, it's like the perfect, like, for a cliche term, melting pot of experience. Yeah, it's really
It
cool.
is.
So let's talk a little bit about the experience that you had before entering the program. Were you coding at all? What was your level of Python? And how do you feel now that you've been in the program for about 3 months?
Well, I came into DS4A with a background in software development, but that I say that with hesitancy because I really didn't have that much experience even within software development, because during the pandemic, March 2019, I had worked for almost 15 years in the hospitality space. So I was a server, I was a bartender, I was just making money and trying to figure out what my next life steps were. And in that time, probably about the last 2 years up until this point, I had been working on a startup that was aimed at providing financial resources to underserved communities. And the way we were doing it is that we saw that the short-term small dollar loan space, so think of like your traditional payday loans, wasn't really providing people with adequate resources, especially people that didn't have financial literacy, right?
Right.
And so I had been working on all the non-tech side, try to launch this startup. And then when the pandemic hit, I had a realization that the hospitality industry wasn't really going to provide me with the stability that I needed anymore. And so I took a chance and I enrolled in the UCLA Extension bootcamp for software development. And then probably about 2 months after that, I had maybe sent like 150 applications, all of which were denied. And then I saw the DS4A, and I had, in that 2 month span of applying to jobs, I had stepped away from the startup that I was working on to look for jobs full time. And I thought, okay, well, maybe this is something that can add to my resume and could also help push the product that I've been working on for 2 years to actual production.
Okay.
And so I come in it with zero understanding of Python, zero really understanding of data science. And I think, like most people, which was what was so refreshing about the program, is that it wasn't looked down upon. Like, they gave it to you in such digestible pieces that anyone can understand, even someone like me who has never taken a statistics class. I mean, my bachelor's was in Arabic and Spanish. So
Mhm.
I literally had nothing to do with data science or tech or anything of the sort. So it's been a wild ride. Like, it's crazy to think about the journey that I've been on.
Wow, I'm sure you are also a great resource for anyone who is interested in either working at a startup or, you know, being a part of a startup team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the startup space is I feel like really growing, and I think it's a lot more inclusive than it was. I may be speaking out of turn because,
Mhm.
I've only been in it for about 2.5, 3 years, but I mean, I feel like there is this push, and part of it, I feel like DS4A supports that idea that I have of inclusivity within the startup space,
Yeah.
because there's so many people that are just like me. I mean, we have varied experiences. We come with liberal arts degrees, but
Mhm.
I mean, I went to ASU, but I know friends
Yeah.
that, went to Harvard or, Claremont McKenna, amazing liberal arts colleges that step into the startup space. And they're like, I can, I have something to give to these ideas. And it makes the startups so much better, and it makes the product so much more rich when you're not having someone
Yes,
that's just from a software development background. Like, we come from humanities because we understand communication and
exactly.
people and historical experiences, and all of those things add to the efficiency of products, and it makes them better for people who are otherwise invisible before, which I think is really
Right.
important.
I love it. We have to have you back just to talk about startups. Yeah.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your boot camp experience. What was that like?
So the boot camp was really intense. I decided to pursue, I think it was a 3-month intensive boot camp. So it was
Wow.
5 days a week. Yeah. And it was about 6 hours, maybe 5 hours a day. And I did it from the room that you're seeing right now. I just was
Yeah.
like hunched over. I'm surprised I don't have like a hump after all like the slouching that I've done. But it was full stack, so that means that I learned back end and
Yeah.
front end. So think of like servers for the back end, and like how people are sending data and retrieving data, and then the front end is all the stuff that we see when we're on a web page or on our phone. So it's all like the little boxes and input boxes that you see in buttons.
Mhm.
And so I learned all of that stuff, and they mainly focused on JavaScript, which is a type of programming language.
Okay.
And in that time, I went from not being able to write anything for like development code to actually creating, several projects that I'm really proud of. And it really was a very intense experience. And I chose the really short term one as opposed to uh, stretching it out to the 5-month program, because my idea naively was, I'll just do this real quick, and then people would be like just salivating at the fact that they could hire me. Like, I'm the
Right.
perfect
Yeah.
person to hire. But then when I sent those resumes out, I'm telling you, it was like 100 resumes.
Yeah.
Everyone was like, no, no, need more experience. Definitely not. No way. And some people were nicer than just like a straight up no or ghosting
Yeah.
me. But yeah, it was that in itself was like a learning experience. Just graduating the boot camp and going to the real world and seeing what type of opportunities there are out there for people like me.
Wow, that's really interesting to hear because I last year, during the pandemic, I
Hmm.
toyed with the idea of doing a boot camp, and a lot of the programs very much promoted, that A, they'll help you find a job, and B, like, you will get a job.
Right.
So, yeah, but I don't know, is it all snake oil? Like, wow, 100, over 100 applications, that's intense.
Yeah, and I think that's probably the norm for people. I
Mhm.
mean, so with the boot camp, I think that they should be a little bit more realistic in terms of what they're telling people the employment opportunities are going to be like post
Yes.
graduation,
Mhm.
right? So like you've heard of all these people telling you, oh, like join this boot camp and you have a X amount of percent of getting hired, or like X amount of our boot camp graduates obtain a job post graduation. And I think that part of the issue that they have is now, because so many people did exactly what I did, right, Tamara? They're like, "Oh my gosh, I'm freaking out. I just got fired. Let me pivot and go to tech." So now we have
Yes.
this like just flood of applicants that
Influx,
are out
yeah.
there. Yeah, and people just like me, right? They're qualified, they got degrees, and now they have experience. But so you have so many people that they can choose from. And I'll tell you one story. I actually applied to two nonprofits, one in the health tech space, and another was a LGBTQ suicide prevention, and both were
Okay.
unpaid.
Okay.
And they literally did not pay me anything, and they still were like, "Nah, we'll pass. Like, you still need more experience." And I thought,
What?
I'm free, man. Like,
What?
you guys can take me and just work me to the bone. But
Yeah.
it was crazy out there for me. But yeah, part of it, I think, having like a defined path post graduation
Mhm.
would lead to more people being successful when they're done with the program. And the other thing too is being realistic about how much energy you have. You take these boot camps, and I'm telling you, I couldn't even look at my girlfriend in the face afterwards. I was
Yeah.
just like, I can't. I have to close my eyes and just like be in it's like a noise deprivation chamber. I can't
Right.
handle any more noise. And
Yeah.
so, I'm not probably wasn't putting my best foot forward during these interviews too, because I was just so exhausted after
Mm.
doing all this stuff. So, you know, like understanding that too, I think helps kind of like helps alleviate false expectations for the program.
Yeah.
So yeah, snake oil for some programs, but in other terms, I think it's just like an individual has to do some soul searching and be like, okay, what's realistic when I leave?
Wow.
Yeah,
That's scary.
yeah,
No, but you're right about being clear with what your path will be once
right.
you're done. So, how much time had passed between the end of your boot camp until the start of DS4A?
So I was finished in, I want to say August. So
Okay.
August of 2020,
Okay.
and then maybe August, maybe September of 2020, and then we started our program like 6 months later, right? In
Yeah.
around April.
And yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's probably been
Cool.
around. So it had been around 6 months, and in that time, I was just continuing to apply for jobs and
Right.
searching about what other opportunities there are for me. I was looking maybe to move. I thought maybe if I was
Mhm.
closer, but since the work from home trend was so hot, I was like,
Yeah.
I don't think it's an, I mean, I'm in LA. If there's, you can't find a tech job here. It's not gonna be any better in like Phoenix where I'm from.
Right.
So yeah. But in a hopeful note, I will say I look on LinkedIn, even though I'm working right now, I have an internship. I look on LinkedIn just to see what's out there, and there's a lot of opportunity for junior developers, and they specifically reference boot camp grads because I think they
Oh, nice.
realize
Yeah.
that there are people just like me who are willing to work super hard, and part of like an efficient workforce is someone that has a passion for the subject. I mean, if you're literally
Exactly.
willing to work for free, how hard are you really going to work when you're getting paid? You know?
Right. Right.
So I think if anyone's listening to this, they should really consider um, a, boot camp experience if it's financially feasible, or some other like maybe less resource heavy option, maybe like a plural site, or like a, I think it's code for free, or free coding boot camp or something.
Mhm.
There's a
Mhm.
bunch of online
Oh,
resources that
free
you
code
can.
camp.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
I just need more structure, and
Yeah,
so
yeah.
yeah, I had to go for the boot camp.
Yeah, same. Like I've tried a lot of online resources like Codecademy, Free Code Camp, and
Hmm.
even just downloaded some courses from Udemy. But
Yes.
I realized I need a teacher, and maybe some TAs to answer some
Yeah.
questions, and maybe
Yeah.
a group to do homework with. So yeah,
It's
our
lonely,
program.
right, Tamara?
Yeah,
It can be
it
lonely
is.
doing it.
It is.